Hey YouTube, good morning. It is Sunday morning, and as expected from Elon's tweet, we did get version 11.3.2 last night, and it is starting to go wide, I think. And I say that because there are a few installations in Canada, and for some people on 69.25.2 and even 69.25.1. So it's not just to a handful of early testers like myself. So I think it's going to go wider today, maybe even by the time I get this video up. So I've got Memorial Park in here. Let's go ahead and do a first impressions drive here and see what we get. There were no release notes of importance that changed, other than perhaps the turn signal visualization was allowed to be moved away from this screen. I don't use the turn signal indications when I'm making videos because they kind of do get in the way. Here's an unprotected right. Wow, it kind of went for that and then stopped and then went. It almost felt like it was going to go all the way without looking, but it stopped. Felt a little bit different there. It was fine. It did it just fine, but the commit from the stop line almost felt like a full commit, and then it stopped kind of there at the last second instead of kind of creeping. So back to the one small change. I did post a tweet about it this morning, a little bit of a difference file. There was one little note about the movement of the turn signal indicators. I don't know if while I'm driving here I can successfully do that without being distracted. It's probably not the best thing to do at the moment. So I do have a stop inputted into my route to get it to take the turn, the navigation right here to the right. So as soon as we take that right turn, I'll delete that stop. That's kind of my trick I've been using to try to manage these routes. So we have a planned route. I really wish we could force a route down a certain path without having to do that added stop, but that's just the way it is at the moment. I've been really happy with the previous version, 11.3.1, so I expect this version will be that plus just a little bit smoother. Chris from @DirtyTesla stopped by yesterday on his way home back to Michigan with his family, and he and I got in a car and did a little collaboration on some unprotected left turns. For those of you that enjoy Chris's content and channel, we had a great time, and it was really good to see him again. I had met him before, but of course not in any sort of driving scenario. It was in Austin. So shout out to Chris for making the effort to stop and take a drive with me. It was a lot of fun. All right, should we be taking the right up here? Good to see the blinker indication on the car up there. Let's see what this reacceleration is. A little bit of a turn, kind of slow there. Actually didn't reaccelerate at all. Obviously we're going up towards a red light, which is appropriate. Blinker for the right turn. Look how far over to the right it's hugging. And if you notice the approach up to this car, it continued to creep over to the right. I don't know if it's because it's taking a right turn. See how this turn feels. Very smooth. That was good. No complaints there. All right, I am going to try to edit my trip very quickly and take out that stop. And it did just fine. Great. So that worked. A little bit of a raised median there to the left that was not visualized until after I was abeam it. Stopped car in the suicide lane here with its hazards on. Going around it just fine as it should. And it did not mark it blue or anything. It recognized it was stopped. Unprotected left-hand turn. This turn used to go way wide. That was nice and tight. And then it kind of went right. Hey, there's the pink Porsche on the left for those of you that are tracking that. Okay, these cars parked to the right are in spots that are still unmarked, but it is not sort of looking like it wants to use that as drivable space still. No change there, but I'm really waiting on these markings to show up as parking spaces, because I truly feel that is when we're getting closer to summon and parking and the car being able to go find parking spots, right? This is a legitimate parking place. All right, coming up on our dreaded, I say dreaded, because I've had very poor success on these little traffic circles here. On dot 1, it completely stopped at the yield sign, and it looks like it's going to need to, nope, it should not stop at all, because that car is not in the traffic, and it's got a stop line, and it's going to stop. And then very slow, I mean 10 miles an hour, and another stop line, then it proceeded. So did you see the stop line pop in there? There's a debate with some people in the comments that say the previous traffic intersection used to be a stoplight there, and those stop lines might be in the map data, although Google is showing, or whoever, now here it is, stop, bam. This is not right, guys. So there's something going on in the data that is making it do that. I don't think it's doing that visually. So there's something going on with that circle. I don't think that is the great traffic circle test. We need Chris up in Michigan or somebody with lots of traffic circles to really work on this, because my scenario is kind of a hybrid of map data. All right, so this time the route chosen was to go up through Avondale, which has got this S-curve here at the beginning, where our blinkers historically have been coming on when we take these sharp 90-degree turns on the S-curve. Flashing light there represented as blue there. Interesting. So that blue one on the right, and there's the blinker, so it's still there on a sharp curve. Pedestrian here. Interesting to see how it handles this. See that? Wow. I wish it had given her a little bit more room. It did tap the brake, but she was kind of coming out into the road rather than using the sidewalk. Good interaction though. Another pedestrian over here on the sidewalk. Shouldn't react to her at all. I haven't had many scenarios where pedestrians jumped into these optional stops, right? Pedestrian and crosswalk type of stops. And overreacted to that, unless it was this woman. No, I'm not. There were three things going on there. There was a woman pulling a baby out of a car. This car was jumping out, and then I had a car jump out to the left of me. It kind of hit the brake a little bit hard, but completely appropriate. It probably should have been getting slower to begin with here. Yeah, a lot of traffic going on here. This 15 miles an hour is probably the best appropriate speed anyway. A lot of times cars have to do this blind backup to get out of these spots. I don't know if you can notice how you would get out of these parking spots without just kind of creeping back until you can see. And he's actually not even in a legal parking spot, and see how it's having to go around him, even kind of crossing the yellow line just a bit. Now, why it waited a long time to kind of accelerate after going around there. Didn't see anything other than just caution. But that did pretty good. I wasn't exactly sure what that one brake tap was for. There were kind of three things going on at once, but maybe some of you in the comments can see what you think. Pedestrians and dogs over on the side. Still no dog visualizations that I've really seen very often. I think there is one, but I don't see it very often. Got some pedestrians crossing just ahead of the flashing yellow. Definitely slowing down for them. Got a good path around them. The flashing yellow is still showing some red. I don't know if that's going to be a problem or not. It behaves correctly, but the visualization sure as heck doesn't. All right, coming up on this left-hand turn here, the one thing I like to highlight at this turn is that it very quickly needs to get into the right lane after turning because it's got an immediate right. So we've got a protected green arrow here that it found, and there's no traffic here. Let's see if it rolls right into the right lane or does a lane change. Bam, straight. Oh, indecision. Oh, no. Oh, crossing over the left lane. This is not good. So now it's trying to take a right turn. Oh, and what's it going to do? Oh, it did it. Turn from the left lane. So I disengaged that one specifically to get the voice annotation. I was able to let the maneuver complete because there was no cars around, but I took advantage of the voice notes on that one. That one needs to go to the team. It has done that intersection correct so many times. That's a regression because there was no traffic to even deal with. That was pure map planning. Anyway, that'll be an interesting one to look at in post. If anybody sees anything on the planner, the indice, it changed its mind right there at the last second with no traffic. Unfortunate. I keep feeling these little brake taps down to 28, and I'm going 30. You know, I'm already going the speed limit. No need to slow down to 28. Slowed all the way down to 21 just because that car got out of the lane. I didn't feel the need to slow down that much. Perhaps there's just some additional buffers in there or something, but the brake taps to go to 27 or 28 when I'm already going 30 feel a little unnecessary. Okay, so I've got my route programmed to do this turn here on the right. And what's interesting about this turn, it's done it in the past. It used to turn and then very aggressively jerk. And one time I encountered a pedestrian that was right there and it kind of scared him. That one felt okay. That was good. That turn was fine. I'm gonna go ahead and let it map itself around these cars. Ooh, and a bicyclist coming up. Let's see how it navigates this. Should slow down a little bit, but it didn't, and kind of freaked that guy out a little bit. You see the look I got? So I was kind of gonna be raving about this until that one lane change from the inappropriate lane with no traffic. So that was a little disappointing. So I'm gonna go ahead and end trip and throw in FSD return in here and do a U-turn here. And just because I already got one look from that guy, I'm not going to engage right next to him. And here we go. We are engaged with a nice sharp turn back to the left. And the thing that has happened on this turn is the creep limit has always danced around because it has had some unusual geometry to align with. And it does put a lane network out there. I don't got a creep limit there at all, do I? And it needs to wait. There's the creep limit. See it projecting that median network? There is not a raised median here. While I do want a median network to start showing up for suicide lanes, I haven't seen it yet it tries to put one here occasionally. Now it is stopped and the creep limit is bouncing in and out, which is better than bouncing back and forth inappropriately. So actually I'm okay with what it's doing right now. I got some pedestrians behind me. What's it gonna do here? Okay. It either needs to commit here, it's going to wait on this truck, but look how there's no creep limit there. Now I got a truck to the left. He's turning right, and the car behind me is probably going to honk soon. And I'm going for it. It should go, commit. Oh, okay. I had to go ahead and take over there. Stopped in the middle of the intersection. So that was very indecisive. It waited a long time for visibility, which I was okay with, but after it committed, stopping in the middle of the intersection was not what I was okay with. And the reason I disengaged is because I saw the stop line on the visualization and I knew it was stopping rather than just decelerating. Yeah, not sure why it did that. The patience for the turn was okay. There were some pedestrians there on the corner that could have added another variable to the cautiousness that I'm not really aware of. I wasn't worried about them because they were just standing there. I don't think they were marked blue, which would have been kind of something the car was considering. That last car that was turning right, as a human, once he put that blinker on and I saw him decelerating, I would have gone in front of him out into the lane. The Tesla chose not to. Maybe that's a blinker inference type of a problem. Anyway, those are what were going through my mind on that intersection and disengagement there. Okay, we are going straight through here, so we're taking a little bit of a different route back, which is always good. That slow down to 22 for that pedestrian crosswalk with no pedestrians is the type of braking I'm talking about, where I didn't see a need for it and the cars right behind me are confused as to what I'm slowing down for. So just that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. When I'm already going a slow speed limit like 30 and then you tap on the brakes. Now this intersection, this turn is always interesting, how the car chooses to handle and honor this yellow line with these parked cars. It did it. It just hugged that yellow line. So that was good. I've seen it cut the corner a little bit in the previous versions. It didn't feel the need to do that this time. And there's another tap down to 28 miles an hour, I felt. Maybe for this oncoming car, not sure what it was, but just a slight little brake tap. Car coming out here from the left, see that? Didn't ever identify him blue, which was good. He'd never entered the lane, but I could see that car coming out, and that's where my eyes were going to see what his intent was. Flashing yellow coming up. Still seeing some red. Another brake tap there down to 29. It's not a significant brake, and I know me talking about losing 1 or 2 miles an hour on a video is probably annoying to some. I'm just trying to mention the brake taps that I'm feeling that I wouldn't be doing myself, so that you can perhaps look at the screen to see what you think the car is doing. All right, should be turning right here, which it is. Very slow, methodical turn there. Didn't have an issue with it, but it felt a little bit slower than I would have probably taken that turn. All right, this is kind of this is a two-way stop, so I've got to yield to the traffic coming from the left and to the right. The creep limit should jump out here because it's a little bit obscured. And see how far that is out there? It's way out there. I am in the lane now and then go, which is okay in slow traffic. You know, 30 mile an hour zone, sometimes you got to poke your nose way out there. But it's interesting where it decides to put a creep limit even though it might be in the right of way. Okay, we got a straight shot through here. We do have a school zone that it won't be in effect, but some people have seen some school zone indications on the screen. I think that's map data, not visualization. Couple flashers here again. It's going 2 miles under right now. That car came from the right, didn't turn him blue, so it just kind of assumed his stop there, which was good. Not sure why it's sticking at 28. It's like it's got a little buffer underneath it or something. It's smoothly driving at 28. I'm just not sure what's keeping it at 28. Okay, we have a pedestrian on the inside lane of this police car up here on the right-hand side. Not sure if that's going to be any sort of, it is an officer there. I think I saw an open door indication there at the last second. All right, I can see the school zone up ahead. So you see you got the crosswalk area identified, and then the lights with the speed limits when the school zone's in effect are up top. That's what I expect the visuals to pick up one day. The speed limit does not change right now, but I am in the school zone now. So if there were any map data to show time-based school zones, it would be right in here. All right, so we're going about through this roundabout again. Different direction. It's got a good mapped path. Is it going to roll this one? And it rolled this one. I have no idea why it's using stops on some and rolling others. Coming up here, I've got some map data that is confusing. Look, see, it's confused with what it sees and what's mapped, and it just misses. Well, no, it's going this way. It's going this way now. No, it's good. It's coming on through. Just those pauses back there are kind of, it's like the planner's fighting itself or something with visualization. All right, coming up, and one interesting thing, for those of you that have watched this video route a long time, it used to take this road, one road over to the right. It remapped this one by going through the stoplight. It has done that before, so this is kind of a repeat thing where I think it chose a easier route, avoiding the unprotected left, one block to the right of this. So by far a better decision on the planner here. You can see how that truck kind of came across and is now hanging out. Now this is where I do not want it to go around too much. Let's see what it does here. There's room in front. And it's being patient. This is really good. Now what would be awkward is if I get a green arrow to go, while that right lane is not cleared to go, I'm kind of in a situation where I need to go around him. And here it is. Now I'm gonna have to disengage. Okay, see how that happened? It happened just like I feared it would. Did not go around traffic at traffic signal. Now you could debate what the right thing to do there was. You know, if that had been a tractor trailer or something much, much bigger, obviously waiting would have been the right thing. But there was obviously a path I could see to take there, and that was the thing I would want to do, and maybe that'll be a good clip for the team to have. I'm not saying it did the wrong thing, because it obviously was yielding to traffic in its lane. And it was showing patience, where in previous versions it would jump around cars a little bit too much. So there's a nuance there, and I guess what I would have wanted it to clearly recognize was the green arrow that it now had to use, and perhaps the environment it was now in, where there might be traffic that needed to flow, and it needed to push the limits a little bit more in that situation after the arrow went green. Yeah, an interesting one. You always love to get those clips where it's a little non-standard, just so you can see how it behaves. All right, here we go with the green. Felt smooth there. All right, this next scenario is sometimes a double green light pause. All right, I'm going 45. Ooh, I got an emergency vehicle. I would love for these to show lights on the visualization one day. Didn't hear. And did you see that pause down to 42, 43? It wasn't a very aggressive one, but when there's two green lights stacked up back to back, for some reason, after you clear the first one, it puts a little bit of a brake and then a re-acceleration for the second one. I am camping out a little bit in the left lane. It's not a horrible decision because my next turn is left, but I'm going a painfully slow speed limit with cars going around me. I kind of wish it was in the middle lane right now. These cars that are going around me here, including a Model X there, is kind of looking at me like, why are you going so slow? Hopefully my FSDBeta sticker is doing its job. All right, well, I got one more turn to go. It's a left-hand turn at a signal that occasionally is a forward-facing unprotected left. I'm not exactly sure, what to say about this drive with only an N of 1 count, meaning I've only done one drive so far. It did disappoint me a couple times on specifically turning right from the left turn lane with no traffic. Not sure why it did that. A couple of the other things, the pauses are still in there. I think those are just cautionary pauses. All right, we do have a forward-facing left here. If it goes right now, it can go. Give me commit. Good. That was a very good commit there for that forward-facing. Yeah, so I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. There is nothing in this release that I would say, do not release this wide. It is a smooth, solid build that is at least as good as 6925.2 with the addition of the highway stack, which makes it much, much better. But we're iterating. I think there are a couple regressions in here that I noticed, but it also could just be the scenario. That may have happened on .1 and I just didn't get the scenario that created it. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll get this out as quick as I can for you guys. Have a great day.